Hi, I am here to show you some writing journals that I made today. This is a nice little batch that I created. I made this one separately from these three because it's slightly taller than the others. I'll start with this one and then go into the other ones. I really like this cover. This is an old book cover that I picked up somewhere. I think it was like a yard sale or some sort of take for free kind of box. Someone wanted to get rid of it, as is the case with most of the books that I use. Most of them are just unwanted old novels or outdated sort of science books or something that the library sorted out or something like that. So I used this fabric to reinforce the spine with. I thought that the cover and the fabric kind of matched in a weird way. It's like not that they are completely matchy, but the circle and pattern design on the cover and on the fabric, they are kind of like they're coming from the same direction, even though they look completely different. That's why I thought that was kind of a nice combination. I put some book corners on, as I do with most of my journals, and I used a fancy like zigzag stitch for the binding. There are 3 signatures in this book, and I actually kept it all black and white and gray because I just kind of thought that might be interesting to go with the cover. And as I do with most of my journals, I used a combination of various colored papers and drawing papers and writing papers out of like notebooks and things like that. I used some envelopes and paper bags to make pocket pages. This with the white line, this is colored pencil, and actually one of the pages that I used for the inside covers already had a white line on it, and so I thought I'd just go with that and added some on all of the other black pages as well. There's some scrap paper in the pocket page, and I made some little envelopes out of the patterned origami paper. This is really mostly for drawing and sketching and writing in. You could totally like glue things in and keep, ticket stubs and everything that you want to sort of keep and collect, and everything that you don't know where else to put. I like using paper that has already been used by someone else before. Like where someone said, oh, I need a piece of black paper, and someone just cut a piece of black paper out of the whole sheet. And so I kind of like using paper with the odd shapes that it comes with. And I like to use all of the leftover bits, even the little strips, to put in as well. They add a nice bit of texture, I think. I think this is the first book I ever made that's completely just black and white. That's a good sturdy size. It measures almost 4 3/4 inches wide by 7.5 tall, and the spine is about 1 1/4. So there's a lot of room in this one. And these 3, I made them in a set, in a batch, sort of, because they have the same height. So that makes it really easy to just cut a bunch of papers all to the same height and then divide them up and fill the journals with, and that kind of makes it a little easier sometimes when you have to kind of make a lot of books in a short time, so that you don't have to measure each cover separately. And so I just found some that were had the same size. That gets things done a little quicker. These 2 are actually from the same series. They have different titles, but they came with a series of classics, I think. And they are 7 3/8 tall and 4 5/8 wide, and the spines are different. The green one is 1 1/4 inches wide, the red one is 3/4 of an inch wide, and the yellow one is just under an inch.
Mama, du bist immer zusammen Fernglas.
That's my daughter. Excuse me for a second.
Etwas gesagt. Hat gesagt.
Oh, sorry about that. So, let's start with the red one. The main body of these books, of all of 3 of them, is pretty much the same, various papers, but then I filled them up with papers that went with the color of the cover, basically. So I have a map on the inside cover, then this packaging paper with the feathers, more maps, writing paper, there's a cross-stitch pattern. I tried to find some bits to put into the pockets that go with the colors. Some strawberry gift wrapping paper, some vintage book pages, some old calendar pages, sheet music. There's a pocket page that also goes with the colors. Red and oranges, and there's a bit of red and blue striped paper, and that blue stripe kind of went with the blue lines that were on the notebook paper. I think there's some leaves in some of the pockets. I really like putting die-cut leaves into my books. I think first of all, because I like the shape of leaves, and I think it adds a nice kind of surprise. And I used some of the scraps from the notebooks, from the notebook paper, to make some tiny little booklets in funny shapes and formats. Some vellum, music paper, think I cut this out of a calendar, like really old one. That was a page about spices, and that was a bowl full of saffron. I did some machine stitching on actually almost all of the pages around, except for the notebook pages because they're a little thinner. There was a little leftover booklet. There's a calendar page. Okay, that's the other piece of that spice calendar page. I made an envelope out of a page from an atlas that had there's some die cut leaves in there, that had a satellite picture, and I think the colors went nicely with that as well. There's some book corners on this one as well. Black ones to go with this like label. 3 signatures again, and hidden binding, as I do in most of my books, because I like to keep the spine exposed. The green one is the thickest one. That has like antique bronze book corners that catch the sheen of the green cover very nicely. There are also lots of satellite pictures, also some leftover booklets. Go in. There you go. And the base of these of all 3 of the journals is mostly those old calendar pages, the packaging pages, the old book pages, the sheet music, the various notebook papers, and then I filled them all out with colored paper that goes with the color of the covers. I love this green. It's vivid green. Here's some more of that paper that had already been cut. I kind of like doing that, using that just the way it is. There's a postcard in there. Huge tree trunks. It's funny, sometimes when I start putting the papers together for a new book, I just, start with the plain ones, with the kind of boring ones, with the notebook papers and the packaging papers, because I have a lot of that. And I start putting them together and feel like, oh, this is so boring, and there's way too little material, and then I start adding and adding and adding, and at some point I basically have to tell myself, okay, I have to stop adding now, because the book is getting too full. That's a good sized journal. And then the yellow one has some very nice detail, gold embossing on the spine, and an anchor on the cover. It has gold book corners to match the gold embossing, and some shorthand exercise book on the inside covers. And also just some regular paper jazzed up with some just some stuff that kind of matches all of the colors. I like that one. Pretty colors. I always like when I do stitching around the pages and I have pages of different heights, I always like to stack them so that the stitching doesn't catch on each other, and that sometimes gives me these nice cascades of stitched lines when I have all of the various heights spread out like this. Really like it when that kind of fits together nicely. There's some scraps in the pocket. There's some more spices. Also some things hidden in the envelope. Oh, I didn't notice that was there. An old price sticker. That because that's the cover of one of the music line notebooks. Like one of these. And I figured I could just use the covers as well. So that was 4 writing journals. I still have 2 more covers the same height as this one. I actually wanted to make a set of 3 with that as well. But since I decided I just wanted to make a black and white one, I'm just gonna make a set of 2 out of them. I hope you enjoyed watching. Thank you for watching. And I will see you again soon. Have a nice day. Bye.